Well, we start as Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that it was clear at the US-Russia-Alaska summit that US President Donald Trump and his team sincerely wants to achieve a long-term and sustainable peace in Ukraine. Lavrov said that the atmosphere at the Putin-Trump summit was very good. It was clear that the head of the United States and his team firstly sincerely want to achieve a result that will be long-term, sustainable and reliable. That from Lavrov as he spoke to Rossiya 24 state TV channel. Lavrov contrasted what he said was the constructive US position to that of Europe, some of whose leaders took part in an extraordinary summit at the White House on Monday with Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss the ongoing conflict. Lavrov also said that European leaders were focused mainly on pushing for a ceasefire while continuing to provide military support to Ukraine. Let's now take a listen into what he had to say.
Там была очень хорошая атмосфера, и она отражена в заявлениях, которые сделали после переговоров президенты Путин и Трамп. Полезный разговор. Однозначно было видно, что глава Соединенных Штатов и его команда, во-первых, искренне хотят достичь результата, который будет долгосрочным, устойчивым, надежным, в отличие от европейцев, которые на тот момент твердили на каждом углу, что только прекращение огня, и после этого они будут продолжать поставлять Украине оружие. Президент Трамп и его команда, особенно после встречи на Аляске, гораздо глубже стали подходить к урегулированию этого кризиса, понимая, что необходимо устранить первопричины, о чем мы, президент Путин, постоянно говорили. И одна из этих первопричин как раз проблема безопасности России, связанная с тем, что грубейшим образом в течение десятилетий последовательно нарушались дававшиеся нам обязательства не допустить расширения НАТО на восток. Президент отмечал несколько раз о том, что после этих обещаний было 5 волн расширения.
Well, joining us to discuss these latest comments is Ross Feingold, a political analyst who joins us live from Taipei. Ross, it is a pleasure to be speaking with you this afternoon. Let's look at Lavrov's statements, of course, backing the US and thanking them for their efforts and talking about a US push towards peace, but in the same breath also sort of putting down Europe and questioning them in this position. Do you think the Russian stance is to try and isolate the US away from other Western allies?
Not necessarily. This is all very much a work in progress. It's unclear what was agreed to even in the meeting between President Trump and the European leaders. So the direction that Europe and the United States are going as far as do they want a short-term ceasefire? Do they want a broader peace agreement? Would there be peacekeepers from Europe? Would Europe continue to provide weapons to Ukraine? Would all of this be things that Russia could agree? Frankly, this is all very much in flux, so it makes it difficult for Russia to have a strategy to push back against what the Europeans and the US and Ukraine might be agreeing to, since what they're agreeing to isn't even known at the moment. One thing that's clear from Lavrov's remarks is, as many leaders and governments around the world know, is that it's important to say nice things about President Trump. So we see that with Lavrov's remarks showing his appreciation for President Trump's efforts to bring about some kind of peace agreement.
Yes, Ross, of course, a lot of discussions set to take place. Meetings today that have taken place between Friedrich Merz and, of course, Antonio Costa, another coalition of the willing meeting to take place too. Is the momentum really there now to try and find a lasting peace, or do you see this potentially as just rhetoric?
I would say it's more than rhetoric. There's definitely some momentum, if for no other reason, is that the position of the Trump administration is becoming increasingly clear. Most notably, the decision of the Trump administration that they're not going to provide cash or weapons to Ukraine the way the Biden administration previously did. Trump, of course, has agreed that the Europeans could buy weapons from the United States and send those to Ukraine, but that raises another question: is How open-ended is Europe's appetite to continue spending money on Ukraine? So we see where the direction is going here. The direction is that Ukraine is going to have to accept, if there's going to be a peace agreement, if there's going to be a cessation of the fighting, then Ukraine is going to have to accept that some of its territory is occupied for Russia, potentially open-ended. So that's the direction we're going. How quickly we're going to get there is really just unknown at the moment.
Yes, well, Ross, do stay with us because we're going to move to a related development, focusing on Ukraine as Ukrainians are responding